Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. It's time for the latest episode of the Mulliner and Musgrove show with him, Sam Mulliner, and me, Andrew Musgrove. Plenty to talk about in the world of football. But first things first, we welcome Sam back to the podcast. I hope you're doing well, my friend. How did you enjoy your Sunday travels down to the Amex to see Newcastle draw 1-1 with Brighton?
Yeah, it was my first trip to the Amex. Logistical wise, it's never been a brilliantly desirable place to go, but it was my first ever trip to Brighton in general, really. I've been kind of back and forth the last previous days anyway, between working at Milton Keynes and then at Portsmouth, back up to Milton Keynes. So what I eventually did on the Sunday morning, I went to the next town over and got the train from Bedford, where there's actually a direct line between Bedford and Brighton. Very scenic route through the central London as well, past Tower Bridge, and it was all very lovely on the way there. But getting to and from the Amex is such a faff from Falmer Station, and oh my word, getting out of it was just terrible. But yeah, not wholly, yeah, just not great. But the game itself, I'd have probably took a point beforehand. Brighton were there for the taking, though, so not to get the win was slightly disappointing. But in the context of things, the grand scheme of things, a point at a place where we have a horrendous record isn't overly bad, and getting the train back was such a nightmare. But do you know who I was actually sat next to on the train, formerly of this parish?
Go
One
on.
of your besties.
You got me where you're going to say Chris Waff then.
Yes. I was sat next to Chris Waff on the train back from Brighton to where I had to get off and get my connecting train back to Bedford from East Croydon. He was typing away.
There you go. But you're such a fanboy sitting next to him, weren't you?
No, because I'm a pretty cool guy myself. But no, I am an absolute fanboy, as anyone who's seen the last word at Newcastle Fans TV will testify to.
Well, I wanted to mention that because, as Sam mentioned there, he was filming for Newcastle Fans TV outside of the Amex with his colleague Lee, and they were doing it in such a location that the players walk right behind them. And there's a moment when Isak, swamped by Newcastle United fans who wanted selfies and autographs, walks past. And Sam, what do you shout at him?
Ice in the veins, Alex. Ice in the veins.
I genuinely want to know if he heard you, and if that made him feel on top of the world. And he thought,
I
you know
don't
what?
know, but
I've
I was
lacked the
completely,
ice. This
yeah,
Sunday,
I
I'm going
was
to find the ice.
just completely pied off by the guy I brought to the club.
Yes, because you recommended Steve Nixon, didn't you? Yes, indeed. But there you go. Well, I hope you enjoyed your.
I got a response off Eddie, though. That was nice.
What did Eddie say?
Thanks.
Polite as always.
Yeah, but the thing is, obviously, after the game, again, the logistics around the Amex is not wholly conducive to a Premier League environment. So obviously, the players have got to walk quite a way back to their coach from the stadium, and they're not allowed to stop. That's the reality of the situation. So I'm being hounded and pestered, which I understand, because my lad, if I was with Charlie, I'd have been doing exactly the same, trying to get photos and autographs and whatever. But they're just not allowed to. That's the reality.
One reckons if you hadn't already pressed record on your camera, and we were halfway through recording the last word with Lee, that you probably would have been barging 7 and 8 year olds out of the way for a selfie.
No, I'm not that way inclined, to be honest. But yeah,
I don't believe you, Sam, to be quite honest. But anyway, we'll leave that one there. I'm sure Alexander Isak is grateful not to have received any bruises as you inadvertently rugby tackled him to the floor just to get a selfie.
No.
Shall we begin with the first talking point of this week's show? Thank you to everyone who's tuned in to these episodes. I hope you enjoy it. It's something a little bit different with a Newcastle United twist on it as well. But we are talking about other things aside from Newcastle United, and the reception to the shows have been absolutely brilliant. So thank you as always. We're going to talk about Trent leaving Liverpool. Not a massive surprise, but nonetheless one that will probably cause a few kind of ripples around the Premier League in terms of mainly who they go after next to replace him. although they have got Conor Bradley there. One imagines they will go after someone and try and spend big this summer, which leads you potentially onto Tino Livramento, who we will talk about in a moment. But just the news, Sam, that he's going to go to Real Madrid. He wants a new challenge. And the way it's been announced as well. I mean, what's your main conclusion from it all?
Told you so. No surprise really. Been saying it for months and months on end to anyone that would listen to me or any show I've been on. I've said from the start and I've kind of interlinked it with those of the Alexander Isak rumors and nonsense links and whatnot. There is one team in world football that when they come calling, clubs don't have a leg to stand on, and it's not Arsenal and it's not Liverpool. It's Real Madrid. It is, and that's what Liverpool have found out with their right back. I don't think it's half a bigger miss that as that Liverpool are making out. I don't. He'll have a great time at Madrid because he'll fit into their mould. He's probably got a bit of a job on his hands to displace Danny Carvajal, to be honest. If he stays fit, he's still a phenomenal player, and he's not that old. But yeah, it seems a good fit. That attacking impetus. Obviously, he's not overly strong defensively, but that doesn't really matter when you're playing for Madrid. Yeah, good luck to him, I suppose. Will he come on and do things for England at the next major tournament and really progress? Hopefully, from an England point of view. But yeah, it's been on the cards for a while, and it's been plainly obvious to see, I think, really, that Van Dijk and Salah would stay and Trent would be the one that's going.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask you next. I mean, they had those three big names potentially out of the club. They've signed Salah, they've signed or re-signed Salah and re-signed Van Dijk to contracts. And obviously Trent's going. I suppose if you're a Liverpool fan that was offered to you, you keep Van Dijk, you keep Salah, but you say bye to Trent, you'd take that, wouldn't you?
Potentially, although there is a bit of an uproar and fans have turned on him a little bit because
burning shirts and all this. Have a word, man. It's only football. Come on.
I don't understand it, to be honest. He's been in and around the first team for what, 9 seasons. Won everything. Apart from this season's Carabao Cup. Get in there. Yeah, other than that, yeah, good luck to him. I mean, Steve McManaman went. I don't remember there being an uproar when he left for pastures new, and yeah, and they were probably glad to get rid of Michael Owen anyway because it's Michael Owen. Let's face it, it's his biggest week of the year actually, with Chester's May meeting this midweek. Nothing to do with football with Mr. Owen, but yeah, I think they'll get over it. They'll get a replacement. In terms of what they're after in the kind of mould, if I was them, I'd be looking at Frimpong from Leverkusen. Denzel Dumfries, who was phenomenal against Barcelona last week, is probably a bit too old for what they're looking for, and maybe like a Frimpong dovetailing with Conor Bradley would do the job really. There might be a bit of a fire sale at Leverkusen this summer. They've not been able to back up the Bundesliga success. Is Xabi Alonso on the way to Real Madrid, along with Trent, potentially Florian Wirtz is probably the man that's going to replace Kevin De Bruyne at Manchester City, a man I spoke about 2 years ago on an FTV for him to be another one for the future, but he's no secret anymore. So yeah, Leverkusen, there's probably they're probably going to be kind of targeted in the market this summer.
Any concerns about linking Liverpool to Tino Livramento?
No,
it's not happening, is it?
No.
Especially if Newcastle get Champions League. I mean, that's an absolute non-starter. And even if there was something in it, you're looking well close to £100 million before we even start having the discussion, I think.
It's the same as Isak. There are cheaper alternatives out there that clubs would be more adept to signing than kind of raiding Newcastle, who A, don't need to sell, B, don't want to sell, and C, it'll take an astronomical offer to even begin a conversation, let alone entertain one. So yeah, no, not for me. I think there are better alternatives for Liverpool themselves elsewhere and around Europe.
And just a word on Real Madrid's transfer business, because they're very, very good at getting players who would cost you hundreds of millions of pounds in terms of Mbappe. I mean, Trent, if he was under contract, you're looking at probably 120, 130 million pounds to get him to any club. But they're very good at persuading players to run down their deals so they can move there on a free transfer.
Yeah, like I've said from the start, when they come calling, clubs don't have a leg to stand on. They'll do whatever it takes. They're the biggest team in the world. They have that pulling power.
Well, here's the question then, Sam. Let's say, and this is all hypothetical, so please don't jump on at me in the comments. I'm just posing a question to Sam. Alexander Isak's contract runs out summer of 2028. Let's say Newcastle keep him until then, maybe win another cup, go for the title, Champions League football, and then he leaves on a free to Real Madrid. You'd be all right with that?
I mean, how bad does Mbappe have to tank for that to even happen?
True. But I mean, I'm just putting it out there.
I think in terms of those kind of Spanish superpowers, I'd be concerned about potentially Barcelona wanting Isak, were they not in such financial mire, because of Lewandowski getting on a bit, and there's probably a vacancy there for a number 9 for Barca. But with the mess there, and it's an absolute circus at the best of times, as Sir Bobby Robson described it. But yeah, with the way their financials are, I don't even know if that's kind of logistically possible. But I'd be concerned if it was Barcelona in kind of Real Madrid's position, if you know what I mean, come calling for Isak. But no, they've got Mbappe, so I don't think there's any danger of that happening anyway.
There we go. He's going to sign a new deal anyway, better terms, and fire Newcastle United into a very successful future. So there you have it. Before you jump on me in the comments and I'm pushing our best players away, because I'm not. He's staying, as is Tino Livramento. Final word on Liverpool, Sam. Lots of criticism on social media about the 6 changes they made, and they ended up losing to Chelsea 3-1. Of course, Cole Palmer breaking his horrible run of form of late and getting on the score sheet. Chelsea, of course, visitors to St James Park on Sunday. Both teams are tied on 63 points. Newcastle ahead in the league table on goals scored. But do you subscribe to some of the conclusions out there and some of the verdicts about Liverpool's starting 11, that they'd kind of thrown the game and it was unfair? And I've seen one account saying it needs to be looked at. To be clear, they've broken no rules. The team was still pretty strong. And I mean, I personally, I think you can be annoyed at it, but there's definitely nothing wrong with it, is there?
What was the team that got done for not putting out their strongest team? Was it Sheffield United when Neil Warnock was back in charge?
Oh, I don't know. I will. While you're giving me the answer, I will
The reason why I say that is, on the face of it, no, I don't subscribe to the criticism they get, because Manchester United and Tottenham will be doing the same, and they have some key games against some of our key rivals over the next few weeks, but it won't be looked at. However, the reason why I point out that Sheffield United, I don't think it was Sheffield United, as Andrew will hopefully confirm in a moment, they fielded a weakened side against a kind of strong team because they had a relegation 6-pointer the net like 3 days later or something like that. So Man United putting out kids against Brentford or whatever, and they'll continue to do so. They've got to play Aston Villa, all in the lead up to. I mean, look, it'll be a United Spurs final, won't it? Judging from the first leg performances, so they won't get investigated because they won't. It's Man United, it's Liverpool, it's Tottenham, whatever. The only ones that kind of didn't make changes were Arsenal, and they still lost when they were winning against Bournemouth. But I kind of get the frustration because it won't get looked at, even though if it was a smaller club akin to the Sheffield United incident, which I'm hoping you can confirm now.
It's not Sheffield United. So
It's
I
not.
think we apologise to Sheffield United and Neil Warnock. It was Blackpool and Wolves as well. So let me just give you
Yes,
the
it
date
was Wolves.
and the
Yes.
information, because it definitely was not Sheffield United. So Wolves were fined £25,000 for fielding a second string side against Manchester United.
Yes.
And Blackpool were fined 25,000 for fielding in a strength side against Aston Villa. Ian Holloway, manager at the time, made 10 changes for Blackpool. So there you go. So not Sheffield United.
Not Sheffield United. So I remember the Wolves one. That was it. Because they played Man United, then they had a 6-pointer 3 days later. But I wouldn't blame them for what they did. The same with Blackpool. I don't think there's any problem with that, to kind of prioritise games, like the teams are at the moment. Man United, Spurs. The only ones that aren't, as I say, are Arsenal, who lost anyway after not making many changes at all. So you do what you've got to do for your own kind of club's sake, really. But the Liverpool one won't get looked into whatsoever, because they just won't.
But I mean, I would argue, why should it? I get the frustration. Of course, we'd love them to play their strongest side possible, but again, they've not broken any rules. It's up to them. I mean, where does the line get drawn, with the Premier League and what have you getting involved? And if we look at the setup, I mean, the lineup, it's not exactly a poor side that they've put out. I mean, you still got Alisson in goal, still got Trent at right back, Kwanzaa, Van Dijk, Timicus, Endo, Jones, Salah, Harvey Elliott, Gakpo, and Jota, with McAllister, Slobozai, and Nunes coming on. It's like it's not like they've played a bunch of kids, is it? Like most of them players that still get into the majority of Premier League sides. So I understand the frustration, but calls for it to be looked at and other accusations placed at Liverpool's door. I don't buy that.
No. It wouldn't get looked at anyway. The reality is that they've won the league. They've nothing else to play for now. They're done.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. I guess the message that
same
comes
as
out
what we were discussing last week about West Ham. They're done. They're done for the year. They're on the beach.
The season's done and they're on the beach. The message that I suppose comes out of it, because you've mentioned a few other sides there, is that Newcastle United are not going to be able to rely on other teams to help them out to get Champions League qualification. They're going to have to do it themselves.
Yeah, you got no chance. Man United have got Villa. You won't get any help from them there. Spurs have got Villa as well. I mean, if you're Villa, you're thinking, keep your focus up and we can smash a few past these, which you could anyway, I suppose, if you're facing, especially Villa have got Spurs at home, which has been moved on the request of Tottenham. But they're playing a team in 16th place at home. You'll be thinking you want to smash a few past them anyway, because Villa have got to improve their goal difference, because at this stage of the season, it's cliche, but the fact remains it is like an extra point. There's that. So the likes of Newcastle, Chelsea, whatever, Forest, you ain't getting any help from anyone. But Newcastle shouldn't be expecting any help from anyone. We have it in our own hands with 3 games to go. It's ours to lose. 2 of these last 3 games are at home, and if you win them, you're in. You're done. It's high fives all round and hashtag cans, and we're all going to Madrid.
Yeah. Well, we saw last season, they relied on other teams to get them to European qualification, and Man City obviously ended up messing that royally up in the FA Cup final. And
how crazy is it that Man United could qualify for the Champions League by winning the Europa League, which they're only in because they won the FA Cup?
Yeah, exactly. It's mental, isn't it?
After finishing 8th,
it's crazy that there's a chance for 2 of the worst teams in the Premier League this season to be in the Champions League next season. But as we discussed last week, they are the rules. We can't complain. But Newcastle United have it in their own hands. They have to make sure they go and take that opportunity and not let any of the teams that they don't directly play affect them. And if they do,
having said that, do you remember when we qualified for the Intertoto Cup via the fair play rule?
Yeah, didn't we finish very low, 12th, 11th that day?
Something like that. But we were a team of good guys. We didn't get booked. So
very friendly guys.
Yeah, in Europe we go.
Yeah, but exactly. I do remember that, but this is different, isn't it? Much different. And Newcastle United just need to get the job done. Go out and beat Chelsea, go out and beat Everton, and hopefully thump Arsenal as well, and clinch that Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, you would say if we could get something again from Arsenal, that would certainly take the pressure off. Because do you want to be going into the last day of the season needing a win against an Everton side who
they're a little bit tricky?
They are. They're very tricky.
And what script is written don't you, for that day?
Oh,
We'll not
Pickford.
mention it because we don't want to jinx it, but we all know what script is written for that day if Newcastle need a win. We'll leave that there because I feel like if we mention it, it will
What, is
happen.
Pickford going to rugby tackle Rondon again?
What an afternoon that was. Brilliant. Yeah, we'll take that and hopefully gets sent off. But we'll move on to the next point because we criticise VAR quite often on this show, and rightly because it is
No, we
often.
criticise the VAR officials, not the technology.
Yeah, sorry, we criticise those using the technology. But this weekend, Sam, we've got to say it, they got it right.
Yeah. I was frustrated with the first one, and I said on the post-match videos, having not looked at it back, that I would have. I kind of tried to make a claim that, you know, because earlier in the season we conceded a penalty that started outside the box, that maybe Gordon should have been given as well. But that, again, that was before I'd seen it back. That's the problem with doing those videos in the kind of heat of the moment before your analytical mind sets in. Yeah, from the neutral perspective, then yeah, great week for VAR because and a great weekend for Craig Pawson really because his blushes have been well and truly spared. Imagine giving 3 penalties. I mean, Isak in another dimension, Isak would have had a hat trick of penalties, but and 2 of which should not have stood. But yes, once, twice, 3 times a penalty. We got there in the end. I have to say though, for the second, everyone in that away end knew it was getting overturned. Everyone,
But again,
everyone.
it shows the importance of VAR, because in real time watching on the TV, or if you're at the other end of the ground, that Willock one looks like a penalty.
Yeah, I don't blame. I mean, I get the frustration from Brighton fans, and you know, I'd be the same if I was in their shoes. But from Pawson's vantage point, it did look like a pen, and he took his time. He had a Brighton defender run across him as well, and yeah, it did look like it. So I can't blame him, but yeah, it's a perfect application of VAR in that sense, for both really. Well, for all 3, I guess. Although the third one was given on field as well, but yeah, the first 2 in particular has spared his blushes and has done what it's exactly designed to do. I imagine there was high fives between Howard Webb and the Stockley Park faithful after that game. But yeah,
yeah,
good process.
we don't have to write any letters to anyone.
I don't have
Woo.
to spend an evening with Michael Owen.
I mean,
Hooray!
we're praising VAR, but we know next week something massive is going to go wrong. But also there was that incident in the Forest Palace game as a scoring from the spot after Matt Sells took out Tyreek Mitchell, and that was missed by the referee on the pitch, but VAR ruled. So again, it's been a great week for VAR. We applaud it. We
Good to
applaud
see
for
Eze
using it.
dispatch a penalty as well.
Yes.
My
We
word.
just have to hope that this weekend's success with VAR continues, because I would love never to talk about it negatively ever again. And that's what we should be doing. We should be in that position where we go, yeah, they've got that right. They haven't sent someone off that they shouldn't have done, or they haven't missed a penalty.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed it does continue.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of the technology. No issues there. It's just the guys using it, the guys and girls using it that just have been so error prone and yeah, so lax with some of these decisions when having the benefit of technology. But yeah, unfortunately to our detriment this time, I suppose. But yeah, it was quite funny in the away end because we obviously all went up for it because that's what you do. It was given, we all cheered, and then we all, like, you could see like everyone just look at each other and go, nah, that's not a pen. We knew we'd I mean, to be fair to Eddie Howe as well, he hooked Willock pretty much straight away after, because you know, on the serious side of things, you don't want to see diving. So and I enjoyed the change of shape Howe employed from that substitution. So yeah, I mean, again, glad we got something in the end. I don't think we were ever going to score from open play that day because of our lack of composure in the final third. But yes, a blue ribbon day for VAR.
Yep, indeed. They've set a precedent now. They can do it. They can use it correctly. So no excuses next weekend. The next topic on the list to talk about is Mr. Frank Lampard of Coventry City, because I made quite a bold prediction, Sam, that he would fail at Coventry City and this would end badly. As it
Yeah.
is, they've qualified for the playoffs. I still think in the long run it will end badly. when it comes to Frank Lampard and Coventry City.
Define end badly.
I
Because
think
if he gets them up and then gets sacked in November for having 0 points in the Premier League, is that ending badly? He's got Coventry back in the Premier League after what, 25 years?
yeah, but if you're hurtling straight back down, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that's badly. It's not gone well, but also I could see them losing the playoffs and then ending up in a relegation scrap next season, and him walking out maybe next February or May. I just don't rate him as a manager. I think he's done good bits and bobs, but overall, I think he and others maybe rate him slightly higher than they should do when it comes to his managerial career. Look, I'm being proved wrong. This could be the club in which he really, runs with it and takes it, and he becomes a proper top class manager. No doubt, he's got the pedigree. I mean, he's got that playing career to take any lessons from that he needs. But I often think he is hyped up a little bit more than he should be. But nonetheless, they've made it into the playoffs. Sheffield United, Sunderland, Bristol City in there as well. What do you make of the first off, the job he's done at Coventry?
Very good. Mark Robbins did a stellar job there as well and put a lot of that in place. And for some reason or other, that went south and wasn't getting the best out of his players anymore. But yeah, Lampard seems to have got the better of things again, and I kind of hope he gets them up in a way, because it's about an hour from home. So yeah, it would be good. I think they'll get the better of Sunderland in the semi-finals, who they play. You would say Sheffield United. That would be my prediction. A Sheffield United Coventry playoff final at Wembley. They knocked on the door a while back, didn't they, Cov? So who knows? It could be their time. It could be their time back, and that's a club that's been through the ringer down the years of staging battles and dropping down the leagues, and yeah, getting them back up would be an immense achievement for one of the originals in the Prem. So yeah, it's good to see, and I think they've got a big shout at doing it, a real big shout. Sunderland have got no real form to speak of going into this one. I suppose kind of your home-based fans would almost want northern-based teams to go up with Leeds and Burnley, so would be trying to kind of supporting Sheffield in that way, or if you do want the derby back, then kind of keeping an eye on Sunderland. I wouldn't say support, but there you go. But yeah, I think Coventry have got a really good chance.
Well, let us know in the comments who you want to see come up from the playoffs and who you think will do. I mean, do you know what? And I get pelts for it. I want the derbies back, so I kind of do want Sunderland to come up. I mean, if they don't, I'm not going to cry myself to sleep.
I wouldn't be supporting them to come up.
No, I wouldn't be supporting them, but I want the derbies back. We are in such a good place as a football club that you want to be facing your rivals. I think every year.
We saw that in the cup last year, didn't it? It was men against boys. So if they
guaranteed 6 points, then, right?
Yeah, you would say so. Yeah, but yeah, if they don't come up, then great. Obviously, not being an out-and-out local, just being a fan for 30 years of Newcastle, but I don't have that kind of local connection. Although having been to the 5-1 derby was one of the best days of my life. But yeah, I think Coventry are the ones to beat, to be honest. I'm going for Coventry, Charlton, and Chesterfield that just snuck in League Two.
Well, Gateshead won't be coming up to League Two because they missed out on the playoff spot in the National League. Horribly, by drawing with the team that took their place. And they've been on a horrendous run of form as well. So unlucky to Gateshead. But yeah, in that championship one, I mean, look, Sheffield United's interesting because I think if Sheffield United get to the final, they've got a horrendous record, I think, in it. And you can see Chris Wilder just losing the plot on the touchline. Because he seems to lose his cool every now and then. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Did you hear my microphone not get knocked over then?
No one noticed. So yeah, Coventry coming up could well be a solid bet there. Just a word quickly on Luton going down to League One, successive relegation.
Not nice to see, but I'm really glad. It's going to be a long time since we have to go back there, because that's just an awful place. But yeah, sympathy for their fans. Obviously, going double dipping is never nice. But yeah,
It's amazing, isn't it, to think where they were. I mean, they're giving Newcastle United a horrendous time of it, didn't they, last season? And talk of the redevelopment of the stadium or a new stadium, like such highs last campaign to then just absolutely collapse in such fashion. And then to top it off, to go down on goal difference as well. Like, wow. Just
that league is crazy though. But like the two times we've been in the championship, as it was named, we were very, very fortunate to
look,
come out, but like as champions as well, very fortunate, because it's like a brilliant league for the neutrals, and especially going into that final day where playoffs weren't sorted, relegation wasn't sorted, league title wasn't sorted. After 45 rounds of games, it was still all to play for. It's a fantastic league, it really is, but I just never ever want to be in it ever again.
yeah, absolutely crazy end to the championship season with Leeds clinching the title late on. Hull City surviving on goal difference, as we mentioned there. Plymouth not quite having enough to escape the drop, though, although they had a fantastic run of form.
Well,
Some
there's
big
your example
clubs.
that you were kind of going into, that you thought Lampard would be about Coventry, but teams really need to learn that Wayne Rooney is not the answer to their management woes.
But he has been linked to another job.
Of
He's been
course he
linked
has.
to the Blackburn job. We've
My
just missed
word.
out on the playoffs.
Yeah. The Venkies of just I know a Blackburn Rovers fan or two. Just that would be classic Venkies.
I like Wayne Rooney, tremendous player. Can't argue with his goal scoring records.
Awful manager.
Awful manager. I think he might be an even worse pundit, though.
Potentially, but I mean, he's been showed up on the overlap by Neve. What's her YouTube now? I was talking to her at a live score event when I interviewed Shay Given, Stumpeg. Neve Petruzio. I've mucked up that surname. I apologise, but yeah, she completely made him look a fool on. I think it was the overlap, and just ran rings around him, talking like tactical systems and whatnot. And this is a YouTuber, but albeit a very, very good one. He's so tactically naive, and he's just not a manager. I think the pundit sofa is probably where he belongs. And hopefully he can kind of grow into that role, but he's not overly great at the moment. But
I'd
not
rather him in
everyone
the
is at the
dugout.
start.
I'd rather him in the dugout, so he's not on Match of the Day, because I watched him on Match the other day, and it wasn't. I did not enjoy it, to say the least. But look, I'm sure he will get better. I mean, we have to remember Alan Shearer wasn't great when he first started out, and look at him now; he's arguably the best in the business. So it just takes a little bit of practice. But I'm sure if Blackburn do come calling, Wayne Rooney somehow will get the gig there, despite not doing very well in the last few managerial roles that he's been in. Just finally, then, Sam, before we sign off, you mentioned there the overlap, and Ruud Gullit was on it. A fantastic interview. I really enjoyed listening to him speak about his career.
I thought it was
But
awful.
did you? Why?
Yes, just the Newcastle bits. I thought
Well,
it was awful.
this was the bit I was coming to. Massively inaccurate with some of the
Yes,
stuff he was saying. And he was asked by, I've totally forgotten her name. Remind me.
Jill Scott.
Was Alan Shearer coming towards the end of his career? He was 27, 28. He was entering the peak years of his career. And Hullett says, yes, he was. No, he wasn't. Not at all. They'd only signed him for a world record transfer fee 2 seasons before Hullett came in. Like, what on earth? Like, that's poor research. And then Hullett was just allowed to go down this road of painting his story of
Spouting
what
his
happened.
garbage unchallenged,
Yeah.
unchecked, with
I did not
nodding
enjoy
dogs,
that.
just lapping it up. I
Yeah.
thought it was appalling journalism, as Carragher himself calls it. It is absolutely pathetic. And it was it's just I have no time for all of them apart from Ian Wright. I have no time for any of them. I think they're so overrated. They believe their own hype, and that just proves it. I think it's awful.
No, I disagree. I like them. I think the show is really good. I think they are good at what they do. I think they've all had the success in their careers to offer that kind of platform. But what I didn't enjoy was the fact that Hullett was allowed to to really sprout a lot of inaccuracies. I mean, the biggest one was the fact that he was proven right about wanting to change the way Shearer and the club played because they ended up getting relegated. Good 11 years after he left, and a good 5 years after Shearer retired.
Yeah, just missing the qualifying for Europe for every single season until Mike Ashley. Yeah, the Champions League years under Sir Bobby, UEFA Cup quarterfinals, UEFA Cup semi-finals in Marseille. Yeah, conveniently just blink. But that's what I mean. You get a load of nodding dogs who journalism this nonsense out, don't do their research, have no interest in doing their research because all they want to talk about is Man United and Liverpool, and then Ian Wright will pop up with Arsenal stuff every now and again. I love Ian Wright. He's great, but yeah, the Chuckle brothers and Roy Keane are just not for me whatsoever.
Not a fan. I have to say, I am a fan. It's just angered as that Gullit was allowed to, like I say, paint that agenda, which was totally inaccurate and wasn't, brought up on it. Because when you've got that platform and you're as big as you are in terms of your pull and your audience, then someone should be in your ear saying, "Nah, he's got that incorrect," because it's just not right. Shearer has been painted as this old guy coming to the end of his career, and he still played for another 6 years or whatever it was. So not on.
And the rest.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure. Well, yeah, 27. Yes, yeah, 34, wasn't it? So 7 years, yeah. But that is the way of football on YouTube and what have you. But no, was not impressed to say the least. But Sam, what we'll do is we'll sign off on your prediction for Sunday.
I think we've got a great record at home to Chelsea, and that will hopefully continue with a nice little commanding 2-0 win.
2-0 win. I'd take that, mate. I'd take 1-0 off the backside of Fabian Schär. Doesn't really matter, but a few goals in the scoreline for Newcastle would certainly make it a lovely Sunday afternoon. Thank you, as always, to Sam for popping on to the Mulliner and Musgrove show. Thank you to you guys for watching and listening. Thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this episode, and thank you as well to Crown Trade as well, our new sponsors on board. You've probably heard. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm hoping to give me some free paint because I'm going to redecorate my living room. So you know where I am.
So is this Crown Paint?
Yeah.
Who used to sponsor like Liverpool shirts in the 80s?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got my wife next to me. Let me just see what colour we wanted to decorate our daughter's room. Pink, candy floss pink, maybe.
We'll see what we can do. They've got loads of great colours at great prices. So click the link in the podcast description box and go and have a look. Thank you, as I said to Sam. Thank you to you guys for watching and listening. And we will catch you guys next week.